Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode number 1 of the Uncanny Xbox podcast, brought to you by the editors at gamersphere.com. Here with me tonight, I have my co-host, fellow Xbox editor Brad Austin,
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
and I am your second co-host, senior Xbox editor Agasicles Stamas. So, let's start the show off right off the bat by saying that we don't really have a good idea exactly how the show is going to go, or what it's going to be. So we're kind of going to be winging it tonight. If you have feedback, if you have feedback on what you'd like to hear on the show, or um, a segment of the show you'd like us to cover, or content you'd like us to cover for the Xbox faithful out there, by all means, post your comments in the comments on the podcast post on the site, or give us a shout over the social media channels, either specifically the ones for gamersphere.com or our personal social media channels, which you can find on the site staff page on the site. But in general, what we're going to do is we have collected the week's Xbox news, and we're just going to kind of go through a few of those articles, adding additional commentary by the Xbox editors to kind of expand the discussion on some of the things that have broken this week specific to the Xbox platform. So again, we're hoping that for the Xbox faithful out there, you guys will give this a listen, and if there's something specific that you want us to talk about or put in the show from here on out, you will let us know. So Brad Austin, first up in the rundown is the Games with Gold June update. This is an article that you wrote, right?
Yes, it is. For a while, we knew that in June, the Xbox One was going to start doing Games with Gold, which I know everybody has been waiting for, and I'm excited that it's finally here. And we knew which games were coming, but we didn't know when exactly they were going to be available. Because normally they'll tell you which game is coming first, the first half of the month, and then which game will follow. And I kind of just pieced together out of my past experience that, well, usually it's always a well-known title first, and then an Xbox Live arcade game that goes second. And so I was just kind of clarifying which game I figured would come first and second based on that past experience as far as the Xbox One games goes.
Yeah, that's a good bit of detective work there. So
Yeah.
So you're showing the games that you have here are confirmed games that are going to be available on the Xbox One in the Games with Gold program.
Right, exactly. The first game will be Halo Spartan Assault, and then the Xbox Live arcade game will be Max the Curse of Brotherhood, which I've never heard of that one, but it looks kind of cool.
Yeah, I haven't checked that one out myself yet either. So is Spartan Assault and is that the RTS, the real-time strategy version of Halo?
No, I think it's the stick shooter one. The top down, use the right stick to move. No, use the left stick to move. Use the right stick to shoot around in a circle.
Yeah.
They had one of those. Didn't they have one of those?
I'm actually checking it now. I didn't realize this is also available on Steam. So yeah, you're right. I think this is a
I don't know what they actually call that genre.
yeah. I guess they have it classified as an action game. So, and I guess it looks like a twin stick shooter.
Hmm.
It's really kind of hard to tell from the photo, but it does indicate that there are 30 levels, and that it's set just before the events of Halo 4. So, and for the listeners out there, if you're wondering why I don't know what Halo Spartan Assault is, it is because I have been off of the Xbox platform for about 4 years. After my fourth Red Ring of Death that I experienced on my Xbox 360, I officially defected from the Xbox Nation, and I'm just now returning. So there is about 4 years of Xbox history that I have missed out on. So So I'm not
That's
gonna.
completely understandable.
Yeah. So I'm definitely not gonna know what like every Halo game is that's been released because as far as that franchise goes, I only really cared about Halo 1 through 3, and then when they kind of started getting off the beaten path, I did not. In my mind, I decided that that was not an official part of the franchise.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I never really cared about the ones that weren't a part of the main, I guess the main series.
Right, right, right.
You know, one through
Yeah.
the other ones I kind of either forget they exist or I never even heard of them.
So let me ask you this question because I know I'm struggling. Having recently joined Gamersphere as an editor and trying to juggle, that time between, writing and then actually playing enough games so that I have something to knowledgeably write about. Um,
Right.
and I also struggle, and again, you and I both, because Brad and I are also the mobile editors for the site. Um, we also struggle splitting our time up across multiple platforms because you also play PC games as well, right?
Right.
Yeah. So and so we both play Xbox, PC, and mobile, and then I also play PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3 games. So on one hand, I'm looking at this and I'm like, awesome, Halo Spartan Assault will be available for the Xbox One, on the 1st of June. And for me, the Xbox One is a system that I don't have a lot of games for, uh,
Right.
because there
Same
aren't.
here.
Yeah, because there aren't a lot. So on one hand, I'm going, oh, this is awesome. This is going to be like PlayStation Plus, and I'm definitely going to play Halo Spartan Assault. But then I'm thinking, is this just going to create, another bow wave of games that is going to wind up sitting in my backlog that I'm never going to have the time to get around to?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Um, because as you said, we play on so many platforms right now that anytime anytime that any of these platforms start throwing free stuff at us, we're going to try to grab it. But then are we ever actually going to get around to playing it?
Right, right, right. And so let me.
Um,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh no, I wasn't actually going to say anything.
So let me ask you this. So a lot of what has been going on this week has been clearly driven by things that Microsoft is doing to make the Xbox One more competitive with the PlayStation 4. Um, in your mind, is this a move that needed to happen? Did the Xbox One need a system that brought it more so into parity with the PlayStation Plus program on the PlayStation 4, with the inclusion of free games?
Right. Um, I I think it's a pretty good move. I think that since they had it for the 360, it's a good move to go ahead and do it for the one as well. I don't see the harm in it, but honestly, I don't think that if if they're looking at this if they're looking at this as a way to sell more consoles, then I don't think that's going to do the trick, because I think people are gonna want something more than just a couple of free games every month, as a reason to buy the Xbox One.
See, that's
They-
interesting because I've
yeah,
in the lead up to me buying a PlayStation 4 and even the lead up to the launch, what I told people was, you should be fully capable of buying a PlayStation 4 and not buying any games for it, just enrolling in PlayStation Plus and grabbing, all the free games that wind up being made available for subscribers to that service. So, you know, I don't.
really. See, that's a funny. I always hear that PlayStation Plus offers, I don't know, I guess better games than Microsoft ever has with their games with gold.
Yeah, they offer more. So each month there are typically, a few games that are available for free. So they offer more. They stay in the store. They stay in the store longer. They're not on like this 2 week thing that Games with Gold does. Um,
Right.
and yeah, and it seems like Games with Gold sometimes kind of offers you, I mean, sometimes new games will pop up in the PlayStation Store that will be immediately free for PlayStation Plus members. Um, Whereas Games with Gold is always something that's been, released for several months and may no longer be, I guess some gamers.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a lot of the games that I've gotten on free with gold are either games that I've never cared to play in the past, or I started to play them, and then just other games would take over because they just didn't interest me enough to keep playing.
Right. So my thing is, so it all depends on what kind of gamer you are. I mean,
Right.
kind of just like we were mentioning, if you're a multi-platform gamer, I just don't know how much that matters to you because, on any given platform for me, there's always a ton of games that I haven't gotten the chance to play. So,
Yeah.
so for me, I don't necessarily need like the newest games or, only games that have been released like in the last 3 months to be part of a program like this. There's always going to be games that I've missed, and I always appreciate, being given the opportunity to pick them up and play them, for free. I think that's awesome. But I can also understand that
Right.
if you're only on on an Xbox platform, then I can understand you maybe feeling like you're not getting, you know, a lot of good stuff for free. I guess. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
So
Exactly. I guess that makes more sense. I guess a lot of it depends on. Yeah, I was just going to say that. I think you're right. A lot of it depends on who you're with and how many how many platforms you play on.
right, right. So
Because
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
so I was just wondering what the next topic is going to be.
So so I mentioned that you and I are also the mobile editors for the site, and an interesting convergence story popped up on our radar this week concerning the companion app for Titanfall being released and available now for I think it hit for PCs this week,
Mm-hmm.
which would be Windows tablets. I think it had previously been released for either iOS or Android or both, um, which made some people a little cranky. That they were like, how do you launch the companion app for a game, on OSs that are not your own? Um, which I admit
Right.
I kind of
It's like this is an Xbox exclusive. How come it's not on a Windows phone?
right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So so I know you didn't write this article. Actually, our Gamersphere general news editor Rachel Lay wrote this. But have you no are you a Titanfall player?
Yeah. I like the game. I I love it. I haven't played it in a while, but yeah, it's awesome. I actually didn't even know that this companion app was a thing until I was looking over the articles today, though,
So
and
is
it seems pretty interesting so far.
right. So is this something you're going to grab for? Because you mobile wise, you're an iOS user, right?
Right, I am.
So any plans or intentions on picking this up and checking it out?
I think so, as long as it's free, which it is. So I
Right,
think
right.
I might as well check it out.
Yeah, I think this. I mean, I think this concept is. I mean, right in the sweet spot. You know, I'm sure lots of other gamers like this, but very frequently, as I'm playing a game, um, something will come up that will want me to go to the internet to look something up, and not necessarily. Every rare once in a while, it's I'm stuck on a level and I go looking for a walkthrough just to tell me how to get past wherever I'm stuck on a level. Um,
Right.
but sometimes it's also like trivia, like like I recently completed a review for the Amazing Spider-Man 2 on the Xbox One, and
Mhm.
at some point there was a villain in there whose name I didn't recognize. So, I grabbed my Android tablet at the time and did a Google search, and sometimes when games are really deep, like sometimes I'll bookmark a page that has a lot of technical data about stuff. So I feel like Titanfall is kind of in that realm, and I like this idea of an app that kind of has all of your lore and some of the technical data and reference material available in a tablet while you're sitting there gaming.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I like this. I like that But this actually features a sort of there's a map that'll show you the action that's going on
Right, right.
in your. And I think that's I don't know. I don't know if that's a good idea. I know it makes it a lot more.
Brad, we're losing you a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you're back. You sound good now.
Okay, cool, good. I was saying that I like how this could make the game a little more team oriented because if everybody's got this second screen map going on and they can see what's happening, it'll make it easier to direct and plan what you're doing.
Right.
So it's not just some stats
Right.
like what Call of Duty had. It was just it showed your stats and uh, you could customize your loadouts from there. It's actually useful during an actual match. I love that.
Yeah. This is pretty awesome. If I ever do wind up getting into Titanfall, I'm surely probably gonna wind up pulling down this companion app to use to play. So next story up is a set of rumors. This one also unearthed by our general news editor Rachel Lay. Rumors of external storage come to Xbox One. What were your thoughts on this one, Brad?
I hope they're true. Because the whole, I mean, I don't know. My Xbox One is running out of space real fast.
Oh wow, yeah.
And I only have, if I had to guess, about 4 games.
Okay.
But seeing as you have to install all of them.
Right.
Even play them, that's about.
Yeah, and you're dropping off a little bit more again there, Brad.
Take a gun.
Yeah.
My quiet or just breaking up?
Yeah, your voice just starts to kind of trail off, and the loudness kind of just dwindles, almost to the point where it sounds like you're about to drop the call. But so yeah, I find this interesting. The thing for me is, so this will be one of those things that I see it now, I'll be excited for it. The announcement will get made, I'll be excited for it, but it may be months before I ever get off my butt and take like one of my external USB drives, over to my Xbox One and actually try this. So I'm gonna, if this is something that is announced at E3, I'm gonna try to be better about that this time and actually, check it out right away. I like the concept of the interface, and I love the concept that they'll be able to display your library as far as your. I'm sorry. So yeah, I just love the fact that you'll be able to add on and extend your storage, and I mean, I don't think you're going to have any level of control over it because they kind of deliberately didn't build that into the operating system. So my guess is you're not going to be able to control, that your Titanfall save games and all its associated data has to go, on a given hard drive, and then game installs, go somewhere else. I feel like you're just going to kind of be locked into wherever Microsoft decides they go.
Exactly. Either it'll just be all one big thing, or I don't know. They'll decide, where what goes where.
Right. Which, to a certain extent, I'm fine with.
Regardless of. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm excited to hear about this one. Hopefully, we will hear more about this at E3. I could definitely, and I hope. Man, so here's the thing. So there's only that one USB port on the Xbox One, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I guess. Yeah, so you won't be able to plug anything else up, which I guess should be okay if you're on, as long as you're on a headset. By the time you're connecting that hard drive, because you don't want to be in the situation where you have to disconnect your hard drive to be able to plug your headset in.
Right, that would suck.
Yeah, so hopefully they will. Well, hopefully anybody who goes and buys this will have first, gotten a headset and kind of figured out how they're going to use that. But in general, I love the idea. I love the thought of just periodically grabbing a 1 terabyte portable hard drive, which are incredibly inexpensive right now, and just plopping one of those on at any point and saying, hey, here's my Xbox One drive.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, very cool, very cool.
Cool.
So the last story in the official rundown, and after that we will be completely just riffing off the cuff, is a new Xbox 360 controller. This also being an article posted by our general news editor, Rachel Lay. So now you still have your 360?
Yeah, I do.
And is it actually connected and hooked up and in an available?
Right. Yeah. Actually, I've been playing on it all day today.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I took the same route with my PlayStation 3. This has been the first generation in my entire life, and I've seen a lot of console generations. This is the first console generation where I have actually retained the superseded console. Typically what I do is when a new console generation starts, I pretty much grab the legacy console, like all the games I had for it and accessories, and take it down to GameStop and trade it in and use however much credit I can in-store credit I get out of the sale to apply towards the purchase of the new console and games and accessories.
Right.
But this time with the platforms, architecturally being different as far as the PS4 and the Xbox One, I guess being an x64 architecture, whereas the 360 and PS3 were the cell processor and the and whatever processor Microsoft used for the 360. So therefore there's no backwards compatibility, across the two platforms. So I've wound up keeping my PlayStation 3 around, just like you've kept your 360.
Yeah, exactly.
So
there's still plenty of good 360 games.
Right. So I'm just seeing now. I guess this controller. This controller is not functionally different from any other controller, right? This is entirely just a paint job, and I guess it's again another commemoration of.
It's really just a paint job.
Yeah, and
I was checking to see if it had any, because you know how on the let's see, they made a newer version of 360 controller.
That was the
directional pad, the control pad. It would twist and pop up.
No, I didn't know that.
No, yeah, the newest one, I guess before this, the directional pad, you could twist it a little bit and it would come up a little bit higher, and I guess that made it easier to get to, because I guess that little centimeter made a huge difference.
Right.
But you could position it higher or lower.
Okay.
As far as what I'm seeing here, it's just which I guess.
Yeah, you faded out a little bit again there, Brad. But yeah, I agree. Normally I wouldn't go in for something like this. But again, there's kind of not a whole lot of stuff going on the Xbox One right now, so I feel like gamers should feel free to spend an additional $55 for an accessory for the 360, because it might still be around for a while.
Very true, and I'm sure you've still got plenty of people who are still just playing on the 360 right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because when you go into your friends list, it identifies for you, whether or not people who have sent you friends requests are on the 360. I think that's the only thing it calls out. I think if it doesn't specify, one or the other, you should assume it's their Xbox One players. But but I think you can append something by their name to let you know if they're on the 360 versus the Xbox One.
Really? That's cool. I didn't know that.
I think so. I think there's something that comes up somewhere in like a friend's profile or information screen that lets you know which platform they're on.
Oh, that's awesome.
Or at least calls out the 360, and then everybody else should be Xbox One. So that is everything we kind of had in the formal rundown. We are pretty close to our time target, Brad. So there were a few other articles that have been that broke this week for the Xbox. So number one, there were job cuts at Rare were confirmed by Microsoft. Unfortunately, more layoffs and I think an actual reorg and restructuring. Of a very, very long-lived and storied development studio. There's also a news post on Fable Legends. Will be available at E3 as a playable demo. I think that will wind up being thought of and considered as a huge deal, but I think in reality at E3, I don't think Fable 3 is going to be that much of a story, but we'll see. And then there was one additional Xbox post this week so far on Xbox Live deals with Gold update for the 20th of May. Now I have not turned on my Xbox One and logged in since I wrote this post, but supposedly Killer Instinct and I am completely missing it. Killer Instinct and FIFA 14 are going to be. Killer Instinct is going to be available at a very steep discount this week, and then FIFA 14 is actually free, I think, through Friday, and then if you go to and then I think I said that right.
Nice. How
I'm sorry.
How far are they cutting the price on Killer Instinct?
So first of all, let me say, so FIFA 14, I'm sorry, that's not free. That's available for 40% off. That actually puts the game at $36. And the question I wrote in the article is, is that going to be low enough to get people interested in FIFA 14 who didn't buy that game and play it at launch? Killer Instinct, as I wrote in this, So I wrote a post a few weeks ago about how the pricing model of Killer Instinct is really just trash. Because the game's not that great, but they still put you through this completely, Byzantine, esoteric, pricing structure of like basically everything being, for pay, even on like the first, map, even during your first initial like levels of the game, they don't. It's not like some other fighting games where if there's lockables, they give you a certain minimal set at least available at the beginning. So I mean, this could be a good deal. It's 50%. So if you have, there's one particular DLC, and I can't remember what it is, but if you have it, then Killer Instinct is available for 50% off. If you don't have it, then the discount is 12%.
Well, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, and I think what they're doing is rewarding people who bought. I can't remember. It's one particular DLC pack, but basically what they're doing is, if you've already paid for Killer Instinct plus some DLC, you will get a deeper discount on gaining access to the Ultimate Edition, but if you haven't, kind of if you haven't been contributing to this point, then you'll just get the 12% discount. So,
right.
So again, it's just completely,
again that's terrible.
Well, it's just ridiculous how so here's this pricing structure, and if you've done this, then your discount is one thing, but if you haven't done this, then your discount's another. And I'm like, this is what makes me cranky about Killer Instinct. I'm like, put a price tag on the thing and be done with it. Stop all this, conditional, situational, this costs this, if that, and yeah. I will not be investing any more money in Killer Instinct because
Yeah, it's like, nope, I'm gonna get my Nintendo 64 and play the old one.
right. Okay, all right. So we are definitely up against our time boundary. Is there anything else that you want to go over, Brad?
No, sir. I think we're all good.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. If you want to catch up with us, again, our social media tags and channels and whatnot are posted on the site staff page. Brad, if people wanted to follow you and your goings on in the social media space, where should they follow you and your content?
All right, they can follow me on Twitter at BradAustin93, and it should be the same for Facebook.
Okay, very cool. And if any of you guys are looking for me, you can catch me as Agasicles Stamas, and that's pretty much on any social media channel, so Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. So with that, we will close out the first inaugural episode. I realize that's repetitive, but our first episode of the Uncanny Xbox podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. We will be back again at an indeterminate time because we haven't set a schedule for this yet, but keep an eye out on the site. Thanks a lot for joining in and giving a listen, and if you enjoyed it, post a comment in the comments. And this episode is in the can, and we are out of here.